from Fox 32 Chicago Sports, this is Chicago Sports Tonight.
All right, hey everyone, and welcome into Chicago Sports Tonight on Sunday on what was, by the way, a very beautiful day in the city of Chicago. The sun was shining alongside the scores Leila Rahimi and Westwood one's Chris Bleck. I'm Tina Nguyen. Leila and Chris, thank you guys for coming in. I'm glad we wrangled you guys there from the really nice weather.
Happy to be here.
It's the best place to be on a Sunday night.
Look at that. We love hearing that. All right. So the NBA All-Star Game finally got some positive feedback. Caleb Williams not leaving for the NBA anytime soon. We'll tell you why later on in the show. And who is a better fit on the Bears D-line? Maxx Crosby or Trey Hendrickson? But first, let's get into some baseball talk, guys, because Friday is the Cactus League opener, and it's a little crosstown classic to start things off as the Cubs and Sox will face each other. Cubs coming into the season with an unfinished business mindset after getting knocked out of the playoffs in the NLDS against the Brewers. I was down in Arizona all last week, and it's pretty clear that that loss still lingers with this team here. They're truly focused on turning this disappointment into motivation for this season. Craig Counsell told me he feels like this roster is really well-rounded, and it's tough to play on a team like this. First full squad workout, though, for the Cubs is tomorrow. Leila, I'll start with you. What are the realistic expectations for the Cubs this year?
NLCS or bust.
Okay.
The Dodgers are predicted to win 104 games by PECOTA. I think it's 104 and a half. I'm not going to shorten the half. So knowing that and understanding what is at stake when it comes to the free agent spending, I think NLCS has to be the demand. If the Brewers got there last year and they lost to the Dodgers, then the Cubs should be able to do the same.
Chris?
I agree, and I think the mindset of not being being hungry and wanting more, I think is valid, right? Like, I think what we've seen sometimes with, especially the Cubs, it's like they got enough and then they didn't really do a whole lot in the offseason. They've done some stuff here in the offseason, and I think that that's why the mentality of getting to the World Series is valid here and why that should be the objective, right? Like, compete with the Dodgers, win your division, take out the Brewers, and move on in the playoffs. That should be the goal this season.
Well, and additionally, what did Craig Counsell say he wanted to see years ago was a 90-win team. So that should be a good benchmark in order to be able to have a quantifiable number to reach these goals coming up.
Cubs last season won 92 games. In the offseason, though, they added Edward Cabrera and the impact bat of Alex Bregman. Chris, how does Bregman's right-handed bat really help Craig Counsell here when it comes to constructing the lineup now?
Yeah, and I think through some of the season last year, right, you got big pops out of PCA and also Tucker, and Tucker faded as the season went on, and he was supposed to be your #1 star. I think Bregman can step into that role throughout the entire season. And I think some of that also goes to the fact that they essentially didn't get any power from the third base position last season either. So adding Bregman over there with Dansby, I think you have now a legitimate force and power at third base that should be able to carry this club throughout the summer because, like I said, there were times last season where they were a great offense and then it kind of slipped off at different points.
Yeah, Leila, how do you think Bregman will elevate this team?
Well, I think that's a big part of it. He, as we know, is already very proactive when it comes to being a teammate who's a veteran. He asked for scouting reports whenever he signed with the team. That's something Jed Hoyer talked about in his introductory press conference. He's discussed with players a lot of what they're doing. Opposing pitchers, you know, he's talked to the bullpen about some of the tips and things that he faced and noticed when he had at bats against them. So there's a leadership element there. He's a former shortstop when he was in college, and I think he still addresses it with that mindset as a third baseman and a veteran.
Bregman is a 3-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ. He's obviously played in the postseason a ton, and he's already had an impact in this clubhouse. PCA was asked about him. First thing he said was he's bestie. They said they've had conversations about his approach and kind of what they want to see from him in terms of attack and getting that on-base percentage up. Chris, what version of PCA do you think we will get this season? Because obviously the first half, superstar, and then he dropped off there in the second half after the All-Star break.
Yeah, it's tough to do that for the entire summer, right? There was conversation last summer of PCA being in the MVP conversation, and then it fell off. But that's baseball, right? Baseball is a very difficult sport, especially when you just start going and you're getting good, to keep that momentum for the entire season. I'm expecting PCA to be in a more mature, controlled kind of with his emotions throughout the entire summer. Because I think that was the thing that I noticed last summer, was he would get frustrated with his play, and that would affect and compound those issues. Where I think this season, hopefully, he will have a off season to like look at it, to adjust, and then to be ready to go for the entire year this year.
Yeah, the plate discipline has to improve, and the numbers weren't there when the league made an adjustment. His weighted runs created plus for the last 2 months of the season was only 45. That's a devastatingly low number.
Let's talk about the South Side now. First full squad workout was earlier today for the White Sox, and they're looking to avoid a fourth straight season where they will lose, 100+ games. Pacoda is projecting Will Venable and the team to finish with a 69-93 record. Leila, is this realistic for this team to avoid losing 100+ games?
Yeah, 3 straight is my limit. Okay. I've covered several teams that have lost 3 100-loss seasons in a row. I can't do it again. So from a personal level, I would like to see that stop. But I do think it is realistic because of how they've added to their roster. Your guys like Kyle Teal, he's going to improve. Chase Mydroth, having Miguel Vargas in a better place offensively. It would make sense that 69-93 would be a good benchmark for this team.
The White Sox have lost 324 games in their last 3 seasons. That is the third most in the MLB. 19-win improvement, though, from the 2024 season. The big offseason name has been signing Munetaka Murakami. Mune is his nickname, the Japanese slugger. He's one of the most explosive hitters back home in Japan. Chris, is he the secret weapon this year for this team?
That would be cool. It would be awesome. I do think like what plays into a lot of this though is you have young players coming together, and that's where you saw the improvement last year. So if you have all of that coming together for this season, like when the number is set for 69 wins, that's still telling me that this is not going to be a good ball club. But if they're fun and they're young and each and every night they're giving maximum effort, I think people want to go out and watch a young team improving. That to me is something that that's where you get the season after season of 100 losses, and you look at the franchise and you question, are they even trying? If you have young players who are trying on a nightly basis, at least it's something you can get behind as a fan. So I think they have a chance to kind of really improve and surprise people.
Mune comes with unbelievable power. In the NPB, though, he had a 30% strikeout rate in the last 3 seasons. It was one of the highest in the NPB. Leila, are you concerned with his high strikeout rate?
I'm more concerned about how he faces Major League Baseball velocity.
Yeah.
That's been the concern, is how good is he against pitches that are above 93 miles an hour, which you will see a heavy diet of in the big leagues. And just to add to Chris's point too, having Chase Mydroth and Colson Montgomery, have that chemistry and have a whole season expectation together is only going to add to that, I think.
Yeah, in Japan, they mostly throw a ton of splitters here. So night in and night out, you're going to be seeing 5 different pitches, 93 plus there. If you haven't heard, by the way, a lot of questions about the bidet right now at spring training because Mune and his agent asked the team to install one for him since this is what they use back home in Japan. And if you don't know what it looks like, though, this is what John Boy posted on social media here. And Davis Martin says the team is trying to figure out how many can they get. Is it 4 or 5? Maybe we'll have to phone our friend Scott Murky later in the week to find out. Mune says everybody uses too much toilet paper, so he's helping save some of the trees here in the U.S. One last thing, Sox GM Chris Getz caught some heat this week after he repeatedly called Luis Angel Acuna a switch hitter. This happened on a number of different occasions. Take a quick listen.
He's got a lot of potential. He can play all over the diamond. He's a strong defender, base runner, switch hitter. He can do a lot of different things to help you win.
I want to bring someone in that you're excited about, right? And our evaluations on Acuna are very strong. For the reasons you stated, very strong defensively, switch hitter, he can run, he's got great instincts. To bring in a player that is young, who's got pedigree, he's got bloodlines with his brother, can play all over the field. He's a switch hitter. He's one of the top base runners in the game.
For him to have 4 home run nights,
Right.
That would be fantastic.
Yes.
This is a guy, is high contact ability, switch hitter.
Okay, Leila, what do you make of his mistake?
Getz handled it very socially gracefully when he made a statement addressing it afterward. I want to say that. But at the same time, what concerns me the most is, did you acquire Luis Angel Acuna thinking he was a switch hitter? Because if so, that's a bigger mistake that needs to be addressed.
Well, I think it's safe to say that even GMs here, they make mistakes, Chris. But that's not a great look.
It's not, and if it was any other franchise, you could maybe just say like it was just a mistake, right? But when it's the White Sox, it's like you don't really get the benefit of the doubt, right? So that's the way I feel, is like, how do you not know your own player?
Yeah, a bit of a tough look there for Chris Getz. All right, coming up next on CST, what's the latest in Vegas with Maxx Crosby? Do the Bears have any shot at getting him? We discuss next. Stay with us.
People are going to have rumors. I just looked at my phone. I've been working all morning. I got another, everyone's hit me up. Did you say this? I can't control that. You earn that as a player. If I wasn't doing the right things and if I wasn't the person and player I was, you know, people wouldn't be talking about all the nonsense. If you have drama, if you have a losing season, they just try to throw gasoline on the fire. I know what I'm about. I really don't care what everybody has to say. I used to a lot as a young guy. I really don't give a damn. People could have their own opinions. I know what's going on. I know my truth. I don't need to sit here and keep rehashing it to people that don't know what's going on. My focus has been on getting healthy because that's all I can control right now. That's all that matters to me, is being with my daughters and being with my wife and taking care of myself.
All right, back here on CST, Chris, Leila, Tina with you. And this segment is brought to you by your Chicagoland Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. You just heard there from Maxx Crosby. Fox Sports NFL insider Jay Glazer said there is no shot he plays for the Raiders again. Albert Breer said Crosby has issues with Tom Brady and Alex Guerrero. 16-plus teams have been rumored to be interested in him. He may cost more, though, than Micah Parsons did. But do you realistically think the Bears will swing big and trade for him, Chris?
I think they will make an attempt, because you say 16 teams, so most of the league is interested in Maxx Crosby. And a part of it into why you may have to give up more than what Micah Parsons got has to do with the fact that he's under contract until 2029. So you would be getting a player that's under contract, ready to go, and I think you could argue is top 5 at his position. Where he lands, he's not 1, but he's probably not 5 either. So I think the Bears should be interested. Do you offer 3 first-round picks? Do you mortgage the future, knowing you have Caleb Williams as your quarterback for the future, that you can go get a game-changing player on the defensive line like Maxx Crosby?
Maxx Crosby, though, interesting to note here, Rob Leonard, the Raiders, that was the Bears D-line coach last year, and Max and him are very, very close. So I've been told by my sources in Las Vegas. They promoted him to be the defensive coordinator there, which I think is kind of interesting. I'd imagine the Raiders are going to want maybe 2 first-round picks for him. His contract is tradable, Leila, but he's had 8 surgeries in 7 seasons. What would you give up for him?
He's still under the age of 30, and I agree with Chris. He's probably in the top 5. It's just a matter of where. Yeah. You know, Micah Parsons, that was a Jerry Jones deal in Dallas, so that was 2 first-rounders and another player. But I think the price will be higher for Maxx Crosby just because of what we've seen edge rushers go for. Here's my issue, though, is it's one of the favorite phrases on our show is Maxx Crosby. It gets everybody going. Our listeners dare to dream, right? But the Bears have already spent so much capital, you know, on their defensive line. 3 guys take up 21.27% of the salary cap. So if you consider that in Grady Jarrett, Dio Dangbo, Montez Sweat, how much more capital can they afford to get somebody like that? I just don't know if even draft picks or perhaps another player would add to that. You know, then you have so much spent on that defensive line group.
Yeah, Maxx Crosby, 10 sacks last season before he was shut down and placed on IR there. Leila, is Maxx Crosby or Trey Hendrickson a better fit, though, on this D-line?
Well, that's the other thing is Trey Hendrickson was $29 million last year in his 1-year extension. So again, given the Bears spending already on the D-line, I love this concept. I really do. But unfortunately, I just don't know how realistic it can be.
And Leila, I think the thing that kind of adds to that conversation is who on the team right now gets restructured or perhaps released to then offset spending for a Maxx Crosby if you were able to pull off a trade. I think Crosby's the better fit between Hendrickson and Crosby, and I think he's also the better player. So I know the production's there with Hendrickson, but I think you would probably get a more impactful player with Maxx Crosby. And then if that's the case, how do you roll it forward with like Cole Kmet's contract? DJ Moore, how does that work? And I know, Leila, you're right. They're spending a lot on the defensive line, but I think we all agree in this city, the number one thing the Bears have to improve on is the defensive line. They have to get to the quarterback next season.
Yeah, well, NFL reporter, by the way, Greg Allman from Fox Sports as well, released an article with the top 100 free agents and their potential fits for the Bears. He has listed signed offensive tackle Cam Robinson, signed Saints linebacker Demario Davis, re-signed Kevin Byard, and signed Bengals edge rusher Trey Hendrickson here. Obviously, a mainly defense-focused list here. Chris, do you like the list?
I do. I spoke to Demario Davis at the Super Bowl last week. he would be a locker room fit. Great dude. He would be someone that would fit. I don't know how that works with the linebacker room, the way that they currently have it constructed, but I do think Demario Davis would be a hell of a player in a Bears uniform.
What stood out to you most when you were able to talk with him?
He was giving us everything that he knew about the Saints, right? That's where he was and is at the moment. And he just seems like such a great team guy. And talking up Tyler Shuck and everyone with the Saints, I don't know, it just struck me as this guy knows what he's talking about and he's pretty impressive. It'd be cool if he was in a Bears uniform.
Leila, do you agree with the list?
I don't have offensive linemen as much of a priority. You can't just go to the left tackle store. They're going to have to rely on perhaps Theo Benedict and wait until Ozzie Trapillo is healthy. Davis, my concern is the age. I hate saying it because that's an indictment on everybody's age. You don't want to think about it, but his age, I think is an issue. And I do think they re-signed Kevin Byard, though.
Okay. Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson, though, did say a few weeks ago they've got a lot of work to do, and of course, it is back to square one for them. All right, still ahead, the NBA All-Star Game is finally competitive again. Team rolled against Team USA, a round-robin format. It was a whole thing. We'll break it down for you next here on CST Sunday. Back here on CST Sunday, it was the NBA All-Star Weekend out in LA, and the NBA always hard at work trying to be innovative and draw, of course, more interest from the fans. They rolled out a whole new format for the All-Star Game. The 25 All-Stars divided into 3 teams, 2 Team USAs and 1 World Team, a round-robin format of 4 12-minute games. Leila, was the league successful at reigniting the All-Star Game here?
Okay, so I thought about this. And unfortunately, I'm watching no matter what. Yeah. I wouldn't have cared if the final score was 200 to 198. It doesn't bother me. But I think it was really entertaining. And there was some defense played in the game. We saw some blocks and steals. And I think that's what people wanted to see. So I liked it. But I like the NBA. So I'm not the one trying to fix it necessarily.
Kawhi Leonard, I believe, dropped, 31 points in 12 minutes. We saw 2 buzzer beaters there in the last game. It was kind of a blowout. Did you like the format, though, Chris?
It was okay.
Okay.
I mean, 3 of the 4 games were close and they were entertaining. I think a bigger problem for the NBA was that their All-Star Saturday night took place in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And their All-Star game took place in the afternoon. I get it, the Olympics are taking place right now, but it's tape delay in prime time. What are the league's got to be upset that they got pushed to afternoon basketball for both of their marquee events. I mean, I think the format's okay, but it's very confusing. I watched it, and I'm still confused.
Kawhi was like, I'm confused.
He thought it was stupid. But you're right. They did play a little defense, and it was okay.
A lot more defense than we've seen in previous seasons. About those Saturday events, how about Keyshawn Johnson? For those watching at home, do not lie to me and tell me you knew who he was before this. Undrafted, worked from having a 2-way deal in Miami to a standard contract. What did you think of his dunk, Leila?
Well, E40 being from the Bay Area, that was fantastic. There were some bad missed dunks, though, in this one, where the good dunks may not even be as viral as some of the missed ones were.
I would say for the 10th year in a row, the main show on the All-Star Saturday festivities is the 3-point contest. Yet they put it first, and the dunk contest is last, and we're always felt underwhelmed by the dunk contest. Let the shooters shoot. That's what everyone wants to watch now in the NBA. That should be last. That should be the main event.
Yeah. The fact that Mac McClung didn't want to do it, despite winning 3 in a row, that says a lot.
Yeah, no doubt about that. By the way, Damian Lillard, the vet, back with the Blazers. He walked out and pointed at his right wrist, and you know what that means. It was Dame time. He made 10 straight threes during the finals to propel him past Devin Booker. Chris, it was Dame's 3rd time to win the 3-point contest. You shocked?
No, I'm not shocked because he's one of the best 3-point shooters we've ever seen in league history. And it's pretty cool that he's injured this season, but he participated in All-Star festivities and he won. That was cool.
Yeah, Leila, we saw vintage Dame there, but as Chris said, he's been injured all year. Was it right, though, for him to take part in that, given he has not played all season?
I was on the side of Damian Lillard the whole time because, again, I love basketball and I think Damian Lillard is awesome. And I didn't care that his Achilles was hurt. It had been 9 months since he injured it, and you could tell he didn't jump as high in the 3-point contest. He didn't need to. Dame Lillard shoots threes. It's what he does. That's why he won.
Yeah. No doubt, and it was certainly Dame time. You have it there. All right, up next, Bears quarterback Caleb Williams, talented in football. But when it comes to shooting threes, will you believe me if I told you he's not very good at it? We'll show ya next. Okay, final few minutes with you on CST Sunday, and a reminder to watch Chicago Sports Tonight daily, Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Tuesday, First and North with Cassie Carlson. We stream both shows on Fox Local at 6 p.m. and it airs on Fox Chicago at 9:30. You can watch all of our extended interviews on YouTube at Fox 32 Chicago. We've got a ton of great guests for you, night in and night out, covering it all. Bears, hoops, Illinois basketball, baseball, you name it. We're back to wrap up the show. Stay with us. All right, before we say goodbye to you, if you missed it last night, how about Bears quarterback Caleb Williams took part in the Celebrity All-Star three-point contest, and guys, he was not very good, as in he finished in last place. His stat line, 4 points, 2 for 15 from deep, 1 air ball. He lost to Drewski, who finished 1 point ahead of him. What is this, hanging them up after tonight? That was on his Instagram. I think he was at USC working on his shot with Eric Musselman as well, but I'm kind of surprised that he is not a good three-point shooter, given I can't make a three-point shot. I can make a free throw, but I've tried before. I've got no upper body strength.
He made
here.
a couple.
He made a couple.
He made a couple.
4 points?
You know what my
One air
three-point
ball?
contest winner is for Caleb Williams? 4th and 8 to Roma Dunze
Yeah.
with a guy wrapped around
Yes.
his leg. Scoreboard.
Yeah.
I feel like you could make a three-pointer. Yes?
I probably could.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I probably could.
You'll have to prove it to us
All
at
right.
some point.
I can
All
do
right.
that.
But one thing's for sure, he's not leaving for the NBA here. That does it for us on CST Sunday. For Leila, Rahimi, and Bleck, I'm Tina Nguyen. We will see you here next week for Chicago Sports Tonight.